Hi there. In this video, we're going to do our first recording in live. Before we do that, I want to show you a couple more options about setting your audio settings that I did not get to in the last video. So once again, I'm going to open the preference window and I'm going to come down to the tab that says Record, Warp, Launch. In that, you'll see in this upper section here where it says Record, you have file type and bit depth. File type just determines the type of audio file that's going to be recorded, and it gives you two choices, WAV and AIFF. They are pretty much the same. It seems like WAV has been usually associated with PCs, whereas AIFF has been associated with Apple machines, but they are of equal quality, and whichever one you pick is fine. I tend to use WAV now. I used to use AIFF a lot. Really doesn't matter. Now, bit depth is the depth of information that is recorded in each sample. So if you recall from the last video, I talked about how in digital audio, a very short recording is made and they are put together in a stream that's played back very quickly, 48,000 times per second. And each one of those captures a moment in time in audio. And when they're put together, played back together, we hear them as a continuous stream of audio. Well, each of those samples then can have its own level of richness, and that's called the bit depth. CD quality bit depth is 16 bits per sample. The highest that Live allows you to go to is 32, and then the middle one is 24. I picked 24. It's a little bit richer than 16, but the file sizes are not as big as they are in 32. So I think it's a good compromise. I use it a lot and I really find it very, very, very adequate. Okay, so here we are in the session view. Now we want to do our first recording in the arrangement view. In the first video, I showed how you can use these two buttons here to go back and forth between the arrangement and the session view, but now I want to show you a computer keyboard shortcut. So on your keyboard, if you toggle the tab key, you will go back and forth between session and arrangement views. Every time you hit it, you go from one to the next. So we want to be in the arrangement view. Now we are going to record something. So first, let me go back to preferences, go to audio. I wanted to double check and make sure that my samples were nice and low so I didn't have any latency. That's good. Now I'm going to collapse these by clicking on the reveal and hide triangles, just like we had on the sides here. These do the same thing. And I'm going to pull on the divider here and make this bigger. Now in the in and out section, we have external in chosen. That is our digital audio interface. I'm coming in on the second channel, which the mic that I'm using is plugged into. You can see the monitor of the level there. I've set the monitoring itself to auto. So when I put this in record enable, we will be able to hear the microphone coming through, but if I play something, it'll mute it automatically. And I have the output set to the master, which sends it straight out to my digital audio interface. Okay, so let's put this into record. And now we can see the level coming in here and also down here on the master as well. I'm going to turn on the metronome as a reference. And in this little mini menu down here, I've chosen 1 bar of a count in so that I can get a little preparatory count in. And I'm using the click just to keep myself somewhat honest. All right, we're ready to record. So to do so, I just come up here to the arrangement record button and I'm going to click it. We're going to hear a count off and we're going to start recording. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm going to turn off the metronome because we don't need it at the moment. And I'm going to come out of record enable because we don't need it at the moment. So here's our sample. If I hit the space bar, we will hear it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, Live has given this a name, a default name, based on the track name itself. And we can change the names. I'm going to show you that in a second. And it is also showing us a representation of the audio that we recorded. If I want to look at this in a closer view, I can bring my cursor up to the timeline up here that has the measures and beats in it. And the cursor turns to a hand holding a little circle. And if I click and drag down, I can zoom in. And if I click and drag up, I can zoom out. I can really zoom out. So that's one of the ways to zoom in and out in Live. There are other ways. We'll look at them later. Now, I can also look at this in the Detail Edit view. So if I double click on this, it'll show this in the Detail Edit view. So this is the exact same thing here, except it's showing us just this one clip. Now, you might be asking, what's the difference between a clip and a sound file? And that's a good question. So let's talk about that really quickly here. So if I name this something else, and I'm going to do that by right-clicking on the audio itself, I'm going to come down here to rename, and on a Macintosh it's Command R, and I'm going to call this numbers 1 through 8 and hit return or enter. So now I've named this. This clip, which we're referencing, plays from the sound file. And the sound file, Live, down here, as we can see in the sample tab in the edit window, has given the default name 002 for audio, which is the track. And it's recorded at 48K, 24 bits. So this is a clip, and the clip is actually referring to this sample. And we can look at that sample in the browser. So here it is here. This is what it's called. And I can also rename that too. And again, I'm going to do so by hitting Command R. And I'm going to call this number audio. So now I've called this number audio. I've given it a different name, and we can see that down here. And if I click on this, I can also see it in the Finder. So there's right here, number audio. So this clip is playing all of number audio, even though it's called number 1 through 8. Now I can make it so that I only use part of this. So for example, I can go in here and I can click with my mouse and drag along and then hit Command C for copy. I'll go over here to measure 4. I'll click there. I have the insert cursor and I'm going to paste it in. And so now, since this is highlighted, if I push the space bar for play, it will play just this one clip, 3. So there we go, 3. Now, down here in the edit window, you will see that when I have this selected, everything's highlighted. When I have this selected, just this one portion of the sound file is edited. The clip is referring to this longer piece here. And you can also see that the sample number audio is exactly the same, even though obviously these are different. In fact, I'm going to rename that. So now it's called 3. 3. So you can imagine if you're recording a flute, how you can manipulate your recording and put things from different places in different order. You can take better parts of recordings that you like and assemble them together with other parts recordings that you like and make one really good recording. You're not limited to what you do in the moment. So for example, let's try this again and I'll demonstrate how that can be done. I'm going to start here on 4, turn on the click again, record enable. One, 2, 3, 20, 4, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so I purposely goofed up on that. Let me clean this up here. I'm going to drag this out, and I'll show you this later. But if we listen back to this again, let me take out the click. 1, 2, 3, 20, 4, 7, 8, 9. So obviously I goofed up there intentionally. So I'm going to take this sample here that is actually pretty good, and I'm going to put it, insert cursor before where I screwed up, and I'm going to paste it over. And now, if we listen to the whole thing, we will hear a good take. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Made up of 2 different samples. So this one is the new sample that we just recorded. It has a default name from live. And this one was taken from the first sample we made, which we renamed Number Audio. All right, so this is a very, very, very brief look and introduction to recording in the arrangement view. And in the next video, we'll look at recording in the session view. See you in the next video.